Hello there, and welcome to this guide on what to avoid in order to not be toxic in Battlefront 2. Now you may be wondering how not being toxic in Battlefront 2 can help you as a duelist, and the answer is very simple. If a high skill player like myself were to come across someone that is newer to the game, then we may let our guard down and go easy on said person, which makes it significantly easier to take us out. However, the moment that player begins to act toxic, I personally drop all restraints and I will kill them. Anyway, first and foremost is respecting the 1v1. If two people are fighting in Hero Showdown, then absolutely do not start attacking the enemy that your teammate is fighting. This is incredibly frustrating and should be avoided at all costs. There are exceptions to this rule, however. If you're playing heroes versus villains, or really any mode that is other than Hero Showdown, then interrupting a 1v1 typically is actually recommended. If you do this and your teammate backs off and starts swinging at you, or the enemy just tries to block all of your attacks, then you should probably just leave, because in that case, both people probably only want a 1v1 between them two. In Hero Showdown, if an enemy is trying to interrupt a 1v1 or has been doing that, then feel free to 2v1 that person to just get rid of them. A similar rule applies if both opponents regularly try to 2v1 or 2v2. Then the gloves are off, and feel free to 2v2 or 2v1 them. If your teammate starts attacking your opponent when you're trying to have a 1v1, then you can either back off and let your opponent deal with them, or you can try to get in their way to signal to them to leave your opponent alone. If you have already finished your duel and are waiting for the other 1v1 to wrap up, then just try to stay out of the way. If the enemy wins their duel, then give them a few seconds to regenerate their health and stamina back before fighting. Now let's move on to what to do after killing someone. What you definitely should not do is saber spam or emote. This is possibly the most toxic thing that you can do, so please avoid it. I like to simply walk away or turn off my lightsaber after a duel. If we have just won the round, sometimes I'll even jump in a pit for fun. Saber spamming and emoting is okay sometimes though, particularly when trying to start a duel. You will saber spam and or emote in order to show that you want to duel. Then you will hold your block to show that you are ready. Once both players are ready, then feel free to start attacking. Now let's look at what to definitely try to avoid in a duel. Some people recommend not using too many exploits like Kylo's 4-hit frenzy, but I myself don't really care that much about it, so use those things with caution. The real thing that you should try to avoid is ledging. Ledging does happen by accident sometimes, like in this clip, so maybe just apologize to them through a message if it happens on accident. This rule, once again, only applies to 1v1s, so feel free to ledge people in other modes like heroes versus villains. Last but not least, let's look at star cards. If you were to still use these star cards that will be mentioned, then it's not super duper toxic, but it is certainly unfair, so I try to avoid these. First off, you should not use any star cards on Vader. Vader's already overpowered without any cards, so with them, he's nearly unstoppable. Next is Flesh is weak on Grievous. This allows for Grievous to take a ton of damage and makes him extremely hard to kill. This card is simply too powerful to be left alive, or, used. The last few cards that I will mention are the health regen cards, like those of Obi-Wan, Dooku, and Grievous. Personally, I have no problem with these cards, and I still use them, but some people think they're a tad too strong. So if you want to use them, then feel free to, because I know I do. That wraps up the video. If you found this to be a little bit helpful, which you probably didn't, but if you did, then feel free to pay back my work with a simple like. I'm doing a duelist ranking at 100 subscribers, so if you would like to see that soon, then why not help us out and subscribe. That's about it. May the force be with you. Peace.